Hi, hello. You watch the Dream SMP. Well, at least I hope you do. So, you know about Quackity's Lost Nevadas. But there's some things you probably don't know. Like how Jay Schlatt is alive, and how I've actually already seen the inside of the Lost Nevadas casino, and so many other hidden secrets. But lucky for you, I'm about to reveal all these missed secrets and summarize the entire plot of Lost Nevadas from the Dream SMP. But even before that, spare me some time to self-promo. I'd watched 12 hours of footage for this video, and only 2% of you guys are actually subscribed, so please consider subscribing. It really helps out, and you can always change your mind. Okay, sell it time's over. Let's summarize. The beginning of Lost Nevada's lore is in this dream, and it all begins with this quote: "May the best day of your past be the worst day of your future," by Anonymous. Don't ask me what it means. When I looked it up, I just got a list of 100 of the best Irish quotes, so I don't really know, but it can be related to the happy day of the creation of Mexican L'Manberg, when Carl, George, Sapnap, and Quackity created a nation together, which Quackity was shown to now hate since the loss of his fiancées. Schlatt is heard talking to Quackity, saying he would never do anything that disadvantages him. This is foreshadowing for the deal, so remember this detail. Chapter 1 starts, and we see Quackity and Bad Boy Halo on top of a tower covered by the egg's vines. They argue for a while over why the egg is either the worst thing in the world or the equivalent of God himself, and Bad Boy Halo tells Quackity that the egg has a purpose he could never understand, leading me to believe the egg lore isn't exactly over, since it has been previously mentioned by Dream that all the lore will connect eventually after a huge event, maybe that event possibly being the return of the egg. But Quackity decides to show Bad Boy Halo Lost Nevadas to show off his new project to his enemy. Amazing idea, I know. Chapter 2 soon begins, and Quackity almost pulls a Philza and dies to a baby zombie, but luckily he doesn't, and he finds a letter addressed to him from no one specifically, telling him he needs to meet him at a set of coordinates with whey powder. Wait, yeah, it's definitely Jay Schlatt. Quackity listens and follows the railway into a cave, which is now Jay Schlatt's big man gym. I just realized how weird this lore is getting. And Jay Schlatt reveals he can't go to the surface without his skin melting off, and his only contact was visitors like Wilbur, Tommy, and Mexican Dream. So it can be assumed only dead people can visit him. Jay Schlatt tells Quackity about the revival book, and Quackity offers to make a bet in the new casino together. If Jay Schlatt wins, Quackity needs to get the revival book for him, and if Quackity wins, Jay Schlatt has to work for him for an eternity. And Jay Schlatt agrees, so they go to the casino together. Also, apparently Jay Schlatt went to the casino without his skin melting off, but I mean, someone marrying a salmon is canon, so I'm just not going to worry about that. Chapter 3 begins with Quackity telling Awesome Dude he needs to visit the prison, implying that Jay Schlatt won the bet. And he convinces Awesome Dude to let him in with weapons so he can get the revival book, since that is the only reason Dream's alive. Dream says he memorized the revival book, and Quackity gets mad, saying he's going to visit every single day, and then it flashes to Quackity destroying Mexican L'Manberg. Or El Rapids, I really don't know at this point. Okay, next Dream time, woo! It immediately revealed that Quackity has been visiting Dream for 29 days straight, and then it flashes to Chapter 1, 72 hours before the visit. Quackity visited Awesome Dude on his island, and he convinces him to kill Dream, but Awesome Dude later becomes uncertain, and Quackity gets mad, saying he won't have this uncertainty in Lost Nevadas. Then it goes to Chapter 2, 48 hours before the visit. Quackity begins digging a hole down to the egg, but he gets lost in a hallway instead. He finds his way there and begins furnishing the place. Some people may think it was weird, but I personally believe that TNT was a nice decoration for the place. Bad Boy Halo begins a game of hide and seek with him around the hallways while Quackity threatens to light up the TNT, and eventually Bad Boy Halo wins the game and has Quackity cornered. Bad Boy Halo and Puns try to tell Quackity to stop, but he doesn't listen and decides to add one last piece of decor: a redstone torch. Needless to say, the hallways didn't recover. It switches to a point of view of someone being possessed by the egg. Maybe Quackity, but there's no hand, so I guess we won't know. Chapter 3 begins placing 24 hours before the visit. Quackity sees George outside the prison and they chat for a bit, until George brings up Kanoko Kingdom. Quackity goes through a mini angst arc and tells George to keep the conversation between them, but there's a flashback. There's a memory of Quackity in a courtroom before turning to a view of a hill with Wilburset and Quackity standing together in their election outfits, and it's revealed to be a few days before the elections. Ah yes, the harmonious time before the Samsung refrigerator was canon. Wilbur tells Quackity that his optimism won't work out for his nation. The only way to have power is violence. Then it flashes back to present day. Quackity is standing in front of Wilbur's grave, writing the letter seen in the next dream, saying that Wilbur was right all along. This is a very good transition to the next stream. Also, side note, I made a video about this where I actually go into detail because a lot of major plot points took place that I'm just going to speedrun over, so yeah, shameless self-promo. This dream takes place in Dream's cell with Quackity and of course, Dream. Quackity orders Dream to write a letter to Technoblade, telling him exactly what to write, starting off with Dear Technoblade, and then it cuts off into darkness. Chapter 1 begins with some Foolish Gamers lore. We see him shoot into a village, and within a few seconds the village is covered in fire and lava, accompanied by some good old screams of terror, and Foolish riding a horse into the fog. It fades into the restaurant of Las Nevadas, and we see Quackity and Awesome Dude talking about employing some new people. Quackity brings up Foolish, and Awesome Dude warns him about his heavy past, referencing to the peaceful village from earlier, but Quackity ignores him and waddles his way over to the desert temple. He tries to convince Foolish to join, but Foolish declines, so yours truly, Angst Quackity, comes back for a talk. Yes, I stole that joke from my past video, we're not going to talk about it. Quackity told Foolish he let him die at the Red Banquet so he could realize he was wasting his life on building, and that didn't work out very well, and Quackity leaves, telling Foolish that he knows where to find him. Foolish streamed right after this, but it was fairly short, so I'm just gonna speedrun summarize it. Foolish debates whether he's wasting his life or not, and he decides to stay at Las Nevadas for a while. Wow. I reckon I just got a world record timing for that. Better check I don't have any Ender Pearl plugins. Sorry, I had to. The stream switches to a top view of Las Nevadas and Quackity flying around with an elytra. He breaks into his own building and he begins placing TNT until he spots a slime block. When he approaches it, Slimeskull appears, but he's not conscious for very long. Slimeskull wakes up in a hole and Quackity begins interrogating, finding out he's been accidentally stalking people, revealing Wilbur is alive. Quackity decides to use him to his own advantage, so he lets him out, and begins referring to Slimeskull as a friend. Chapter 3 starts taking place 1 week before the banquets. Quackity is doing a fun home invasion in Purple's UFO while in a call with Awesome Dude, the prison guard of the Dream SMP. Quackity really picks out his partners in crime carefully. He begins placing TNT until Purple spawns in, and Quackity convinces Purple to help him destroy the egg for a large pay. There's a quick recap of the egg fight, and then it turns to them in a flower shop, Purple receiving his pay while Quackity blows up his UFO. And I still have no idea how that worked. Purple begins freaking out, I mean, as he should, I'm now a Purple apologist, and Purple begins chasing him, but somehow Quackity convinces Purple he's nothing without his UFO and that he needs to join his country, and they both run off, not revealing the decision. And another point of view, this stream is so long! Fundy has still been having weird dreams, so he decided to move to the middle of the woods to avoid hurting anyone. He decides to finally go to sleep, and when he wakes up, his house is in the middle of a desert. He goes back inside, and when he goes back to his door, he's greeted by Quackity, who welcomes to give him a tour of the nice area. Quackity tours Fundy around the recreation of L'Manberg until they come across a tower, and Quackity begins warning Fundy that he'll become nothing if he doesn't join him. He begins counting down, making Fundy run towards him, and when he finally gets close, he wakes up. When he steps outside to check if he's back in the forest, he is, except this time he has a little visitor at his doorstep. Quackity. Now, Wilbursoot. I swear this stream is almost over, just give me a second. Revived Wilbur was walking back to his grave to read the book in the chest, and it's revealed to be the letter from earlier, but then the scene changes to Wilbursoot's character walking up to Las Nevadas. And that stream ends. Finally. There's still 3 more. Wait, no, the audience retention rate. Fundy recalls his dream and decides to visit Las Nevadas. And can I ask just why? He just got scarred by someone in his dream, and now he just decided, yes, that was a good sign. I should visit him again. Anyways, Quackity tours him around Las Nevadas, even welcoming Funny to build his own lot. Funny agrees to build a new home, and they go their separate ways, Quackity telling Funny they'll reconvene later to play cards. Spoiler alert, they did not play cards. Yay, Slimeskull stream. Slimeskull spawns in a hole. That sounds so weird if you haven't watched the streams. And Quackity approaches, leading them both to the casino to teach Slimeskull about gambling. Quackity tells Slimeskull to convince everyone around him to gamble, and when Connor appears, Slimeskull does just that, causing Connor to go into debt. Maybe I'm a Connor apologist now, actually. During this time, Slimeskull took out money he couldn't repay, so Quackity offers him a deal. If Slimeskull worked for Quackity, he could work it off, and he tells him about a purple guy who got very upset gambling, telling him that it could be his first job to get him back. The rest of the stream isn't really that important. Quackity just says never trust anyone, and Slimeskull says okay, and then yeah, bebop, stream ends. Guys, I promise this stream is actually important. There's a new nation and everything. Tommy meets Wilbur on L'Manberg, and they walk around for a bit until Wilbur tells Tommy about the book he found at his grave. Once again, another callback. You better be paying attention. We're having a test on this. Tommy tells him he knows where Las Nevadas is, and he leads him there, finding Quackity at the entrance. They talk for a while, and Wilbur offers his assistance with the nation, but Quackity declines, upsetting Wilbur. Wilbur most likely thought the letter was an invite to rule the nation, so his reaction makes sense. Wilbur asks where the border of the nation is, and he begins creating his own nation, which Tommy later joins after some serious manipulation, which, I mean, come on, give this kid a break. Quackity gets very upset about this and tries to lure in Tommy by offering the ownership of the restaurant to him, but Tommy declines, running back to Wilbur's nation. Quackity finally gets the hint and offers peace to them, even giving them a nice tour, but the nation still stands. Towards the end, Tommy accidentally mentions how Dream revived Wilbur, and since Dream is practically, and now literally, Wilbur's savior, he leaves Tommy to visit him. Tommy leaves leaves as well, but doesn't follow Wilbur. Instead, he goes to listen to the disc Cat, Alone in the New Nation. There's a short Fundy stream that can pretty much be summarized in 3 words: Fundy, sign, contract. But he didn't read the last page, so Fundy's soul could totally belong to the devil right now, but I guess we'll never know. We're almost there, guys. 2 more streams. This stream starts peacefully, which is a nice break, but it doesn't last long. Purple finds Slimeskull spying on him and Dogchamp, Purple's dog, from the mountains and confronts him, making him reveal he was sent by Quackity. Purple has a midlife crisis and blows up his home, talking about how he'll restart in Lost Nevadas. Slimeskull leads them there until he gets spotted by Quackity, who welcomes Purple to the nation. Purple makes it very clear to him how he still hates Quackity, but he's only there for his reputation. But Quackity is still set on the idea that he'll grow to love the new nation. Quackity also talks briefly about a contract, but he says he's willing to gamble on it. The contract most likely referring to one similar to Fundy's, promising Purple's loyalty to the nation, and maybe Purple will be smart enough to actually read the 9th page. The stream ends with Purple running around his new plot of land with his dog. Guys, we finally did it. The final stream. This is only going to be a short recap of it, since only half the stream was actual lore. Quackity was upset with Ranboo because the cookie outpost was built too close to Lost Nevadas. He mentions a defensive plan, but he isn't too specific. Maybe his defensive plan is all the mobs he has in his basement, because why is there so many, and why are they so loud? Quackity says he'll build a wall to protect Lost Nevadas, but he's interrupted by Foolish, saying how Tommy took Slimeskull hostage because Foolish took Linda. In summary, Foolish was gambling and received Linda as a prize, so Tommy took Slimeskull hostage. Quackity tells him to figure it out, and he goes back to talking with Ranboo. Ranboo insists their area is just a farm, and he can't say much about the outpost without Tubbo's permission, which makes Quackity even more sus. Quackity tells Ranboo not to talk with them without Tubbo, and they both leave. Bam. Get summarized. But seriously, in conclusion, Lost Nevadas now has 5 members: Quackity, Fundy, Slimeskull, Foolish, and Purple, along with some beef with Ranboo and Tubbo because of their expanding nation, and Wilbur and Tommy because of their new nation. And yeah, that's the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope I get to see you again. Bye bye. Also, foreshadowing is a dumb word, and it took me like 10 minutes to think of, and I'm never using that word again.